Did you know that Switzerland is not just known for their chocolate, cheese, mountains and all the other amazing stuff? There is a recipe for a Swiss brownie, which is called the Basler Schoggitorf. I've never heard of it, but I looked at the recipe and it looks amazing. So I want to give it a try to see if it's as good as all the other Swiss stuff. So let's figure it out together and make those brownies.
So, first we'll start with 3 eggs that we need to separate. For that, just put all of them into a big bowl and try to fish them out with your hand. As you can see right here. Be careful, don't break the egg yolk, because if you get any egg yolk in your egg white, it will be really difficult, if not impossible, to make stiff egg white out of it. Now add 100 grams of sugar to your egg yolks and then just mix them with a stand mixer or by hand if you're really ambitious, but I would recommend the stand mixer until it's nice and foamy and there's some air incorporated into it. Also, please use a scale for this whole recipe. It makes things a lot easier. I will leave the conversion in the description, but please use a scale. Now we have to cut our chocolate. We're gonna use 250 grams of dark chocolate. Just go through it with a knife a few times and cut it into small chunks. It doesn't really matter how accurate they are because you're gonna melt them with a double boiler technique later on. Just put them aside, we'll need them later. Next step is to make some stiff egg whites. We're gonna use our 3 egg whites, add a little pinch of salt and just use a hand mixer and mix it until it's really stiff and foamy and doesn't collapse in itself, you can see here. And it's time to melt our chocolate. For that we use a pot, fill it a little bit with water, get the water to a simmer, put a thin wall bowl on top and make sure the water does not touch the bowl. Add our chocolate, start to mix it until it's melted nicely. We're gonna add 75 grams of unsalted butter. Keep mixing until everything is nice combined in a homogeneous mixture. Now we're going to combine our egg yolk mixture with the chocolate. Add a little bit of the hot chocolate mixture to it, start to mix it together and slowly get the temperature up of the egg mixture. If you put everything in right away, it will clog and it will not end up well, so slowly mix it all together. Now you will get a mixture, as you can see here, that's thick, chocolatey, everything should be combined nicely. Our next step is to add the egg whites that you also do in batches. You add like half of the egg white at first, slowly fold it in with like a spatula, just make sure everything is combined and still is airy and liquidy. Now we're gonna add our flour. So altogether we will need 75 grams of flour and a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. So I added the flour also in 2 batches, sieve it in and also fold it underneath with a spatula. Then we do the second batch of our egg white mixture and then we have our whole batter. So it's completely ready to put into our form. Just use whatever square form you have. Mine had 7 by 7 inches and I just lined it out with parchment paper. I did cut out the corners, which made it easier to get the brownie out. I'm sure there's a better way of doing that. Let me know in the comments how you usually do that. It worked for me, but it looked kind of janky, so let me know. Now we're just gonna add our butter. Just make sure scrape everything in and spread it out in all the corners that everything is like nice and even. And yeah, nicely spread out. Then we're gonna bake it for around 25 to 30 minutes by 160 degrees Celsius or 320 degrees Fahrenheit. You will see how the whole thing rises a little bit and then falls down. And now we have reached the most difficult part about this whole recipe. We need to wait until it's cooled down. So just wait 5 minutes, get it out of the form, put it on like a cooling rack, and I ended up sprinkling a little bit of powdered sugar on it, which is completely optional, but it just felt kind of on brand for this whole recipe. Now let's cut them apart, and it looks really good. They were fluffy, they were nice. I would add a little bit more of chocolate chunks in it. That gives a little bit of crunchiness to it, but overall they were super delicious and pretty easy to make. So if you like this video, hit subscribe and see you guys next week.